Today is the biggest day of the year in Hollywood. I love when they announce the Oscar nominations. I mean, don't get me wrong, Critics' Choice is dope, but we have to recognize that for real, this is the biggest day of the year in Hollywood. So I get giddy. I'm like a kid on Christmas Eve. Like I can't wait to see who gets nominated and who doesn't. It's just a fun day. Like it's a fun professional day for me.
We got to talk about Conclave. If you were to walk through your studio and say, have you seen Conclave? Have you seen Conclave? I guarantee you, no one has seen Conclave, but they should. Why?
Well, no, Conclave was a solid movie. More people have seen Conclave than you probably think. There are a couple other movies that received some nominations that no one saw. Conclave, a few people have seen it. It's a solid movie. I was disappointed because two people connected to the movie didn't get nominated. I was surprised that the director didn't get nominated. And I was really surprised that my main man, Stanley Tucci, didn't get nominated. For me, Stanley Tucci can do no wrong. Like, I am a Stanley Tucci stan. Like, that's my guy. I love everything he does. And he was rock solid in Conclave, but he did not get nominated. There was a little disappointment there. But no, Conclave's a solid movie. I mean, it reminds me of a lot of what an Oscar movie generally is or has been in the past. It had that vibe. I mean, a lot of people call it Oscar bait. So what? As long as the movie's good, who cares? But that's what Conclave reminded me of, an old-fashioned, solid Oscar baity movie.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Stanley Tucci. Next to Jennifer Lawrence, Stanley Tucci is my favorite thing about the Hunger Games movies. I may not have seen them if not for him. So if you want to talk about Oscar bait, there's Conclave and The Brutalist. And all of my money would have been on Conclave if not for it not winning that Best Director nod. So I think The Brutalist is probably going to take home the gold. What do you think?
Yeah, and The Brutalist is that movie you were talking about earlier that no one has seen. Like when I walked around my television station and I were asking people what movies have they seen, no one mentioned The Brutalist. In fact, in Kansas City, I think that movie just opened a week ago. So most people where I live have not seen The Brutalist. I don't think most people around the country have seen The Brutalist. It's funny to me, I hate when the title of the movie describes the experience because it was brutal, because it's long. It's long.
And it feels long.
Because it is long. Like it has an intermission. When's the last time a movie had an intermission? No, it's long, but as a cinema guy, I did appreciate the artistry. I did. The artistry is dope. Like it's masterful, in fact. And Adrian Brody, he holds his own. Like Adrian Brody's always captivating to me. It's just not a very entertaining movie, albeit the first half was stronger than the second half. You're not watching The Brutalist for cinematic pleasure. It felt like I was back in film school, and I thought there was going to be like a test at the end of the movie. It's one of those. It's like this generation's Citizen Kane. But I will have to agree with you. I think at the end of the day, it will probably be the Best Picture winner, and I will be thoroughly disappointed.
And then in a movie that I knew was going to make at least the top 10 in nominations, but yet a movie that has left me changed forever in a bad way, The Substance.
I like this. So I saw The Substance, fortunately, before the hype. I remember I was at the Toronto International Film Festival. This is way back in early September. And literally the studio were begging people to go screen the movie because it had no buzz at that time. Like there was no buzz. The studio was like, please, come on, we know you're in Toronto. Can you please go screen this movie? And even when I went to the screening, I don't think it was completely full, which is unusual at TIFF. So I went and saw this movie and I'm watching, I'm like, okay, there's some interesting things going on. And then I'm still watching and I'm like, oh, okay, we going here. And I'm still watching, I'm like, oh, we're going there. And it's like it was such a trippy ride. And then a couple of days later, I got a chance to sit down with Demi Moore in an informal conversation at an early brunch cocktail type event. And I was like starting to connect the dots with this thing. And that's when I became a champion of the film. And then I saw it again when I got back home, and I was like, okay, this movie is doing some things and taking some swings that not a lot of other movies are taking. So I'm down with it. And this movie is the lone hope that a female will get nominated for Best Director. So I was riding with it. And then all of a sudden I started telling people, watch out. I think this movie's going to connect in a weird sort of way. And Demi Moore, she's in play. She's in the conversation, and she got nominated. So I've been riding with the substance since Labor Day.
I do like what it says. Sometimes it's hard to watch some of what it's saying, and maybe that's the reason. And I love the pitch. Demi, here's a script. We really think you're going to win the Academy Award with this. Stop flipping through the pages, because we have to warn you. About page 90, there's a scene where you're essentially playing a festering zit on your own back.
Hey, she's got a chance.
She's does have a chance.
She's got a chance to win Best. She's got a chance to win Best Actress. It's a trippy film. It's probably the most different film. And I like the fact that the Academy has subtly awarded a horror film, because the horror genre never gets any love from the Academy. Right. So maybe this is the entry point where we start celebrating the horror genre more when it comes to the Oscars.
Maybe so. And, although I tried to trash talk it now, I didn't hate it. I was in an audience where half the audience walked out. I was the half that stayed.
Yeah, no, people walked out of TIFF too. No, every time I screen the movie, people have walked out. And I like that. I like a nice divisive movie. Like, people have walked out of both screenings. Like, yes, 100%.
So, snubs, you talk about horror, Nosferatu. We thought it might have some steam. It picked up 4 nods, maybe deserved more, maybe not. Maybe it's lucky to have those 4.
No, Nosferatu's lucky to have those 4. But Mark, come on, man. If you're talking snubs, Gladiator 2, if you take Denzel Washington out of Gladiator 2, there is no movie. He carried that whole thing. His performance was stronger than all 5 of the Best Supporting Actor nominees put together, in my opinion.
And it was among his, he did something with that role. It's his strongest performance, among the top 3 strongest performances of his career.
It's up there. Woo, top 3 though. Woo, man. Top 3.
I put it up there with Training Day.
So you got Training Day, you got Malcolm X, you got The Hurricane, you got Cry of Freedom, you got Glory, even Remember the Titans. So you're going top 3.
I still say it's probably up there with the last 4 titles.
No, it's up there. I'm thoroughly shocked. I mean, I appreciate the guys that got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but they were not better than that. I'm sorry. One of the movies that I flat out do not get this year, like the way you feel about The Substance is the way I feel about A Real Pain. Jesse Eisenberg and Karen Culkin, they never act. They're just themselves.
Right.
They're themselves. They're the same in every, are they not the same in every movie?
Yeah, with the exception of Home Alone, I think Kieran has been the same in every single
movie. That was his brother. Home Alone's his brother.
No, he's in there. He's in. Yeah, he plays his little brother.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he's really in that.
I don't remember. I haven't seen Home Alone in years. He played his little brother?
He's the one that wets the bed.
Oh, how long was he in the movie?
Maybe 13 seconds.
Oh.
Which is what I'm saying. With the exception of that, he is the same in everything. Succession or anything else.
He's the same. And then the guy from Anora, really? When you saw Anora, were you like, that's an Oscar-winning performance?
No, I thought it was great writing and a good performance, but not an over-the-top performance.
And Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown?
And that's Edward Norton phoning it in, just doing Edward Norton.
That's what I'm saying. And
Well,
then The Apprentice, no one's seen The Apprentice. And no, we're not talking about, every time I say, have you seen The Apprentice? People are like, yeah, I used to watch the TV show all the time. Like, no, no one
no, no,
saw
no.
the movie. No one saw that movie. No one saw that. No one saw that movie at all. Like,
No, I will talk about a best picture, a surprise. I loved it, and I believe me, I shouted to you and everyone else, this should be an Academy Award contender. But I didn't know if it was going to make it because we didn't hear a lot of buzz leading up to it. Nickel Boys,
no, I actually thought Nickel Boys got robbed in a couple of categories. It got nominated for Best Picture, which is solid. So you would have thought it would have had a few more below the line. I actually
right?
thought it was one of the best edited movies. I actually thought the cinematography was amazing. I actually
100%.
thought Ramel Ross should have had a shot at a Best Director nom, because that say what you will about the movie, whether you like the movie or hate the movie or whatever. Like, there's no one else on the planet that could have directed that movie. That movie is well directed. That movie is all about the directing.
Right, and he made a big, solid choice to hit it out to go for the outfield
It's all
in the
about the
beginning, and
directing.
if not for him, it wouldn't be that movie.
Right, right. It's all about like him and the director Denis Villeneuve of Dune Part Two. Like, how does he not get nominated for Best Director?
Right.
Like, Dune Two is a better directed movie than A Complete Unknown.
Oh,
Like, it
100%.
just is. We've like Complete Unknown. It's like every other biopic you've ever seen in your life. Like, when you watch A Complete Unknown, there was not one scene where you were like, "Oh my God, that directing that just blew my mind right there." No, it was a standard issue biopic.
Yeah, it was chronological and it kind of followed the same path. It was very linear and predictable. I mean, obviously it's a biopic, so you know where it's going, but still there was no angle.
There was nothing about the directing. Dune Part Two is a much better directed movie. Nickel Boys is a much better directed movie. Conclave is a much better directed movie. All day, every day. Like, I don't get it. Like, did the dude hand off a bunch of white envelopes to the DGA? My goodness, come on! Like, this, we have eyes, we can see.
Yeah,
Like,
something happened there. And
I
then
don't.
finally, as we wrap it up, let's talk about Emilia Perez. You and I both knew that this was different and it might be different in the best of ways, according to the Academy, and it was.
I was absolutely floored the first time I saw the movie. I love the chances that it took. I love that it was daring. I love the storyline. I like the audacity of this being a French film about a Mexican story. Like, everything about it was just great. The music
And a
worked.
musical.
Yeah, Zoe Zeldana, just like, she gave it her all. The entire cast was incredible. I was actually hoping that Selena Gomez could get some love. I know it wasn't one of the stronger performances, but I love this movie from start to finish. I love this movie from the very first time I saw it. I love this movie when I watched it on the big screen. I love this movie when I watched it on the small screen, when it actually officially came out on Netflix. I like the vibe. I like the tone. I'm hoping that this is the Best Picture winner, because it does stir some debate. It is sort of controversial, and I like that in a film. But I also think that out of all the movies that got nominated for Best Picture, this may be the one that we talk about 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
And I'll tell you why I think it's groundbreaking, because most of the movies we've talked about, Nickel Boys being the exception, most of the movies that we've talked about follow certain cinematography rules that have been there since the dawn, but some predating sound, in fact, in terms of master shots, wide shots, close-ups, coverage. They're all the same. Emilia Perez, in all the other, narrative ways, breaks the rules, but cinematically, it breaks the rules. It is a movie for the TikTok generation, and I don't mean that in a bad way. There are techniques being used here that we've never seen before in film. It moves in a way you've never seen before, and for that reason, I would not be disappointed at all if it wins.
No, I would not. I'm actually rooting for it. I would not be disappointed if Amelia Perez wins Best Picture. I would not be surprised if Wicked won Best Picture. I'm thinking it's going to be The Brutalist that wins Best Picture, and I would be slightly disappointed but who knows? Maybe it's something that we haven't even mentioned. Wouldn't it be cool though if the Substance won Best Picture? I mean, I don't know. You know what? Here's the thing, though. It's been a long time since I've liked more of the movies nominated for Best Picture than I did. So it's a good year for me.
If you want to really predict the Academy Awards, watch the Critics' Choice Awards win.
Yes, the Critics' Choice Awards have now been moved to Friday, February 7th, and you can watch them live on E and next day on Peacock.